Hi everybody, this is Rhonda with the Center of Wellness for Urban Women, and in today's video I want to talk about provider-patient relationships, and because it's really important that you have a good relationship with whomever your provider may be. I know there's a lot of people out there who are living really holistically and may not still like to deal with traditional Western medicine, but there are times you still do, and you still have to deal with the system, and it's still important that you're able to navigate the system and have a good conversation, a relationship with your doctor. In the past month I had a outpatient procedure to remove some fibroids, and I thought this was a good example of being open and honest about the relationship that you're going to have, that you should have with your provider. I had a new OBGYN who was unfamiliar with my past history, or just who I am as a person. And of course she had records to see what my past medical history was about, and what I liked about her is she, on that first meeting, we really sat down and had a conversation about Rhonda, my attitudes about my body, my attitudes about where I am in life, because that's even important. You know, I'm 44 years old, so it gets to the point where it's that weird situation where, do I want to have more children? What's going on with my hormones? How close am I to menopause? What is my attitude about menopause? All of that stuff. It's a switch. It's almost like going back to when you first got your period. You got to start thinking about how, what products you're going to use and all that stuff. You actually have to start thinking about it again, like what's going on with my body, what's going on hormonally, and all that kind of stuff. And so we had that kind of conversation about where I am emotionally with the next phase in my life. Do I want to have more children? All that kind of stuff. And so I appreciated that conversation. I was able to be open and honest and very clear about what I want and what I need. And we went straight then into my immediate situation with excessive bleeding. We did a vaginal ultrasound. We did all the stuff that we were supposed to do. And then we had a conversation, of course, actually immediately after I did the vaginal ultrasound. And so after that, we talked about what I wanted. And I decided that I still wanted to keep my uterus, that this situation to me was about inconvenience because I was not having any other issue. I wasn't anemic. I wasn't having any other problems other than it was just excessive bleeding. So to me, doing a hysterectomy or any other kind of procedure was just a lot. And I'm one to still, I have this, you keep your uterus because it's supposed to be in your body as far as I'm concerned. And so with that said, we scheduled the time, and the day of, I'm there, I'm getting prepped, nurses are coming in, we're doing blood work, we're doing all that. And the place where I had the procedure done was at of course, a local hospital, but also a training hospital. So it was a lot of interns and folks like that running around. And so the surgeon that was working with my doctor came in and started reading off the procedures. And so what was interesting is that I didn't recognize one of the procedures, which the procedure I was getting was just the shaving off of the fibroid. They were going to shave it off, but they were also going to burn the uterus lining, which will prevent me from having future periods. Well, I didn't agree to all that. We didn't have that. We talked about that is one of those things that can be done, but that wasn't me. So I looked at her. I was like, "What are you talking about? That's not the procedure that I'm having." And she said, "Are you sure?" I said, "I'm positive. I'm not doing that." And she said, well, do you need to talk to your doctor? I said, of course I do, because I was not going to go. I had already signed something. I'll be very honest. I think I had already signed the consent. So that's my bad. Because I had to sign it. So, doctor comes in. She was actually surprised. She was like, Rhonda, hey, what's going on? And I said, look, doctor, no, we're not doing this. And what I can appreciate about my doctor is she went back in her notes and she said, you're right. No, this isn't for you. And I think what was even more interesting is that what had to kind of jog her memory is that when you burn the lining of the uterus, you also need to have your tubes tied, because if you get pregnant, you still can't become pregnant. They may miss something, and that would have been another surgery that I was going to have that day. So it was going to be shaving the fibroid, burning the uterus, and having my tubes tied. No, we weren't doing that. So I was, like I said, I felt really confident in my doctor, because she didn't come at me. She went straight to her notes. She looked it over. We started talking about it, and she says, you're right. Changed, we ripped up the consent. She wrote out a new one. I signed it. And then at the same time, though, let's understand that pressure is, while me and her are talking, there's 2 nurses in there trying to convince me to still have this procedure. And I was kind of offended, and I told them that, I'm talking to my doctor. I'm not doing that. And I said that, once again, this is not a matter of having pain or discomfort even, but just inconvenient. I just felt inconvenient by the excessive bleeding. So I just wanted to stop that. So she looked back, and she looked at the record. She says, Rhonda, you're not even close to menopause. All these things, you don't have to go that direction. My bad. And I appreciated that. So it was a great situation as far as that patient-provider relationship, because she listened to me. But at the same time, I didn't feel intimidated by having 4 people in the room trying to convince me at one point that this is what I want to do. It's okay to do this, and no, it's not. And you kind of have to get that about your body. So some of the things, just going to kind of give you a list. You can go online, of course, and Google things like talk to your doctor, how to talk to your provider, and things like that. But you always want to write down your concerns. Like, if you don't think you can articulate it, write it down. Be very descriptive about your symptoms. What's really bothering you, what's not bothering you, so they don't jump to conclusions. Then also, of course, if you're on any prescriptions, even if you're taking vitamins and things like that. So you want to make sure you let them know that, and be very thorough. Take notes if you want to. If you're so anal, you can record the conversation, but do what you can to make sure that there's clear communication, and that's using all the tools that you have. And also, and this sometimes works with people who are younger, people older sometimes, is bringing a friend with you, so you can feel a little more confident in that conversation, especially if something's really serious. I know I was the caregiver for my mom when she had lung cancer, and it was very important that I was there, because some of the news sometimes was very emotional for her, but I could kind of hear it from a different perspective. And so in that situation, it was always important, especially when we're having some consultations about where she was with her treatment, that I was there to help her hear what was happening in that situation. And so you use, I'm always talking about your team and your support systems and all that kind of stuff. You use that in that situation. Your doctor needs to have that time with you. Take that time and make them have that time. And if you don't feel comfortable with the provider that you have, it doesn't matter if you're on Medicaid, Medicare, even if you're uninsured and you have to go to a public hospital, you have the right to talk to someone about changing your provider because you're not getting the care that you want and need. And so get online and look up other tools and resources regarding talking to your provider. You know, we use internet for fun, but it is a great tool and has great resources. And so I just wanted to kind of share my story. I'm hoping to get a single member to share her story. She had a kind of a negative side of the provider relationship she wanted to talk about. So what I'm going to do, you know, I'll put some links up about where you can look up and just get some fact sheets and things like that, or tips on how to talk to your doctor. And if, of course, if you have any questions, you need to feel some confidence, get your confidence up, let me know and send me a message. And I thank you so much for being a part of this journey with me, and I'm hoping that we will continue to give you great tools. My whole video game will get better and tighter as I go along, so bear with me. But thank you. Have a good holiday weekend, and as always, all we want for you is to live life well. Thanks.